for goodness sake, and look at us here. Tear gas fired upon us now.
We want justice! We want What the fuck is this? इसके ड्राइवर का कन्वॉय निकालो फटाफट
यहाँ सर चलो उधर चलो उधर चलो
बहुत लोग मारे गए हैं तुम्हारी वजह से और सब यहाँ बजना होगा
I mean, there's no peace anyway, so we'll just keep protesting here.
Hi, I'm Grishma Kuttar, and you're listening to episode 5 of Mission Manipur, a frontline podcast that looks in detail at the Manipur conflict. This episode is titled Free Movement, followed by a question mark. Sometime around 11 a.m. on March 8th, as I was dabbing toothpaste on my face, hoping that the sting of the tear gas would somehow die down as I forced my eyes open and shut, open and shut, open and shut, the woman mob in front of me surged forward. I was at Gamgiphai, the border between the Kuki-Zo hill district of Kangpopi and the Meitei-dominated Imphal West district. It had been an hour since the BSF convoy had passed the mob, in spite of their attempts to stop it. The convoy had pushed through, making its way past the mob and out of there. At this point, I just assumed that in a matter of hours, this mob would disperse, the convoy would reach Senapati district, and the day would end. I was so wrong. The day before March 8th felt like I was back in 2023. There were so many frantic calls that I was receiving and frantic calls that I was also making. What will happen tomorrow? Do you think the Meiteis will enter Kangpopi? Do you think Fox will make it past Kangpopi? Do you think the Fox members will be attacked? The questions and along with it, the anxiety was just increasing as the day edged towards its end. But what was going to happen on March 8th? Let me take you back and give you some context. When the ethnic violence started in Manipur in 2023, it led to lynchings, rape, arson, entire villages being burned down, and thousands of people getting displaced. But the most important consequence of the violence was that all Kuki-Zo people from Imphal fled to the hills, and all Meiteis living in the hills fled to Imphal Valley. This meant that the Kuki-Zo could no longer access the capital of Manipur, which is Imphal, and the Meiteis could no longer access the Kuki-Zo hill districts. Imagine a circle within a circle. The Meiteis now stay inside the inner circle and Kukis within the outer circle. And there is a thin line running between them, like a border. This is a buffer zone that either can't cross. Because when they do, it leads to disappearances or brutal deaths. This is how it has been since May of 2023. This means Kuki-Zo people can no longer access the airport in Imphal, and Meiteis can't use the NH2 that goes through Kangpopi. Both the groups by now have figured out ways to travel that do not intersect into the territory of the other. Fast forward to today. President's rule is in place. There are talks happening between all groups to de-escalate the violence, or at least that's what it seemed like. And then Delhi dropped a bomb. More specifically, Home Minister Amit Shah. The Home Minister made an announcement on March 1st that people should be allowed to move freely on all roads from the 8th of March, which basically meant that the buffer zones that had been set up to avoid violence between the two warring groups would cease to exist. And the Home Minister wanted everybody to go everywhere. Amit Shah has made ambitious proclamations like this before as well. His first press conference after the violence started was in June of 2023. Most of what he said back then hasn't happened. This month's announcement of free movement was followed by a super familiar feeling, anxiety. Everybody was busy asking the same question. Will this actually happen? How can it happen? Security forces on the ground who I spoke to following the announcement were of the opinion that this is a premature move. But truth is, from the beginning of the violence, the Home Minister clearly doesn't seem to care about their opinions. Obviously, this had to be followed by more dramatic proclamations. A Meitei group by the name Federation of Civil Societies, which is abbreviated as FOX, held a press conference announcing that they would be taking out a peace rally from Imphal to Senapati through the Kuki-Zo district of Kangpopi. Responding to this, many Kuki-Zo groups threatened to retaliate if provoked. They saw this announcement of FOX as provocation. Did all this flexing just mean that we were gearing up for more chaos? The downside of all this flexing is that women from the Kuki-Zo community had to face the brunt, that too on Women's Day. Late on March 7th, women from across Kangpopi were told to assemble in large numbers by 7 a.m. at Gamgiphai, which is the border between Kangpopi and Imphal West. The rule is that every family has to send one woman or they would be fined. So no family has the choice to stay out of this mobilization. Meanwhile, Meitei civil society organizations and Mira Bhaibis in Imphal were divided on the decision made by Fox. Some were for it and some were not. But by the end of March 7th, it seemed like Fox were going to take out their rally. And then I heard the news that some Mira Bhaibis were being mobilized to try and stop Fox. The state had seen so much stupidity till now. I was only hoping at this point that nobody would get injured on March 8th. More than that, I hoped that the situation wouldn't escalate to the point that people would once again pick up the guns that they had hidden away in the past few weeks. Late into the evening, another announcement was made by the government. A Manipur state transport bus would ply every day starting from the 8th of March from Imphal to the hill districts of Churchandpur and Senapati through Kangpopi. It would make the trip and return to Imphal. Now this set off another round of anxiety. It felt like the day just did not want to end. On March 8th, I reached the Imphal War Cemetery at 8 a.m. where around 30 people had assembled, along with vehicles and flags that read, Peace Rally. I spoke to the president of Fox, and this is what he had to say about their intentions.
नहीं और रुकने दो हम ये तो फोर्स है हम क्या करेंगे देखेंगे हम तो हमारा मिशन है तब तक हमारे सेनापति तक ही पहुंचना है बस पूरा नहीं पहुंचने से हम थोड़ा तो पहुंचने के लिए कोशिश करेंगे ठीक धन्यवाद थैंक यू
सर अगर आज आप नहीं जा पाओगे आप वापस ट्राई करोगे क्या और अटेम्प्ट्स करेंगे
नहीं हम 2 बार नहीं करेगा ये जा रहे हैं ना उसको 2 बार नहीं करेंगे क्योंकि ये हम इंडिया गवर्नमेंट को मणिपुर गवर्नमेंट को कुकी लोग का हम वो लोग ऐसे करेंगे वो लोग बदनाम दे देंगे क्योंकि वो लोग बता रहे थे इंडिया गवर्नमेंट बता रहे थे अमित शाह कौन है अमित शाह हिंदुस्तान का क्या है होम मिनिस्टर वो लोग का बात मान रहे हैं हम लोग उसका ऑर्डर है उसके ऑर्डर के हिसाब में जा रहे हैं हम लोग इसमें वो बंद करना चाहता है उसको बंद कर दो हमारा रास्ता ये बंद करके तो इंडिया का वो होम मिनिस्टर का बार है ये तो डबल स्टैंडर्ड बार है ये बताएंगा
सर आप ये भी बता सकते हो क्या कि यहाँ के लोगों को क्या क्या दिक्कत है ये रोड्स ब्लॉक होने से यहाँ के लोगों को क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम्स होता है इम्फाल के लोगों को खासकर
अभी आप सोचेंगे आप घर में बैठे रहेंगे तुम्हारे दरबार में खड़ा करेंगे तुम बाहर जो है बंदूक मारेंगे आप क्या सोचेंगे ऐसे है ना ऐसे है ये हमारा कहने का मतलब है ये रास्ता है कोई नेशनल हाईवे है सब मणिपुर है ये मणिपुर है मणिपुर किसका है कोई ये बताना नहीं चाहता हूँ मैं फिर भी है मणिपुर का रास्ता है ये हमारा रास्ता में वो रुकने के लिए कोई जरूरत नहीं यानी कोई पावर नहीं है रुकने के लिए रुक सकते हैं ना क्या है
But you intend to just take your rally from here till Senapati
yeah then we are going to pray there with some local people and all then we come back here again this is only the simple mission we bring only the peace mission no we are हम लड़ाई झगड़ा के लिए थोड़ी जा रहे हैं हम लोग ये देखना चाहिए था ना हमारे हिंदुस्तान का वो मणिपुर का हो कोई भी सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस वो लोग के एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन मणिपुर के गवर्नर है मणिपुर के शेष हुए वो ये पता चलना चाहिए था ना हम जा रहे हैं हम लड़ाई झगड़ा के लिए थोड़ी जा रहे हैं लड़ाई झगड़ा के लिए ऐसे जाएगा खाली आदमी जाएगा क्या हम बंदूक लेकर जाएंगे जो गंदा लेकर जाएंगे किसी ने बम लेकर जाएंगे कोई भी जा सकता है ना हम तो कुछ लड़की लोग जा रहे हैं और भी जा रहे हैं इसमें कैसे लड़ाई झगड़ा के लिए हम पीस के लिए जा रहे हैं ना वो पीस जाए हम पीस आए एक्चुअली हमारा स्टेट है हमारा गाँव है हमारा इलाका मतलब मणिपुर हमारे है उसको शांति लाना चाहता हूँ झगड़ा नहीं करना चाहता है। वो लोग झगड़ा करना चाहता है, वो लोग हिंदुस्तान हमारा इंडियन में वो देखते क्यों रहते हैं कि क्या क्या उसने नोटिस निकाले थे, अभी तक चुपचाप रहते हैं। वो बंदूक जमा करने के अभी बंदूक जमा करते हैं क्या? वो लोग बोलेगा हिंदुस्तान का, वो लोग हमारा अमित शाह जी हो कोई भी हो, हंसते देखते रहते हैं। हमने कुछ करेगा वो हमको एनआई लगाएगा, एनआई से लगाएगा। ये क्या 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 कानून है हिंदुस्तान में? अब प्रोक्सी वार क्यों खेले हमारे ऊपर? हमारा क्या गलती है? हमने कुकी लोग से हमने क्या करते हैं? कुछ नहीं करते हैं ना। कुकी लोग ने हमारे ऊपर क्यों गुस्सा हो रहा है? हम तो कुकी के सपोर्ट करते आते हैं 1992 93 में। वो नगा ने उसको सब मारता है, हमने वो लोग को मदद करते हैं। हम लोग ने उसका मणिपुर में 36 कम्युनिटी एथनिक कम्युनिटी है, उससे ऊपर से किसने हाथ नहीं डालता है, खाली मणिपुर को मैतेई को हाथ डालता है। इज द क्वेश्चन नंबर 1 क्वेश्चन। ओला भी पूछिए कुकी लोग से हमने क्या करते हैं, उसके हमारा गलती क्या है? गलती आज कुछ नहीं किया था ना, हमने उसको हाथ नहीं था, बिल्कुल नहीं डालते। उसने हमारे ऊपर हाथ क्यों डालते हैं, क्यों मारते? ये इंडिया गवर्नमेंट उसमें देख के हंसते रहते हैं ना। ये तो इसे वेरी अनफॉर्चुनेट। उसके लिए हम सब दिमाग से निकाल के पीस के लिए जा रहे हैं। इसमें सपोर्ट कोई करेगा नहीं करेगा, बस वो लोग का है। वो लोग तो सपोर्ट नहीं कर रहे। हिंदुस्तान का क्या है, हमारा इंडिया का उसको एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन वो देखते रहे, कानून देखते रहते हैं। वो लोग के पास कानून नहीं है क्या? खाली हमारा मैतेई के पास में कानून है क्या? See, my question is, कुकी लोग ने हमारा मैतेई को क्यों इतना गुस्सा है, कितना क्यों मारता है, क्यों लड़ाई करता है, क्यों वो झगड़ा करता है? इट इज क्वेश्चन। हम कोई गलत नहीं किया। हमारा आइडिया आज तक आइडिया ऑफ मणिपुर, सब मणिपुर में है, कोई बाहर से कोई भी अंदर से एक साथ रहेगा, एक साथ एंजॉय करेगा, एक साथ डेवलप करेगा। इसे हमारे हिसाब है। इसकी उल्टा लेकर वो लोग ने वो कुकी लेन अगर लेन आर्यन ये कैसे होगा? आपका घर आएगा तो बताएंगे तुम्हारा घर तो मेरा घर है, आप मानेगा क्या? नहीं मानेगा ना। सेम है। लास्ट में कोई शांति का मैसेज है, वो लोग मानेंगे तो हम भी हिंदुस्तान में कोई उधर आएगा, हम नहीं मानेंगे, बिल्कुल कोई विश्वास नहीं रखेंगे। थैंक यू।
Just as the Fox group were about to set off, the Manipur police approached them, asking them if they had permission to take out such a rally, be it peace or whatever. After some back and forth, the Fox group did set off towards Kangpopi. I just decided to go ahead to the border, and by the time I reached, there were close to 500 women who had gathered at Gamgipai. When I reached there at 9 a.m., I saw that they were seated on both sides of the highway. Many of them were holding the Indian flag, and along with these women, standing right in front of them were the security personnel who were standing in a way to kind of stop them, blocking them from getting onto the highway. I saw people from the CRPF, RAF, Assam Rifles, Army, all kinds of companies of personnel were there, including the SP of Kangpopi, along with his team from the Manipur police. I tried to get one of the women protesters to speak to me, though they were all too agitated at that point to speak to me. But I finally managed to ask one of them what it is that they were doing there, and this is what she said. So I'm coming from Imphal, where the Federation of Civil Societies, FOX, the group is saying that they're going to come. What they are trying to say is that they just want to pass by and spread the message of peace. This is their statement. What is your response to this?
My response regarding the folks entertaining their people to come towards Kuki ancestral land, I strongly condemn, and I am not allowing them to pass my ancestral land. The one who kill us, the one who rape us, the one who mutilated us, what not? There are so many inhuman behavior characteristics done by these people. How are we going to allow ourselves? How are we going to allow these people to move on to this Kuki land? We will not allow that.
Okay,
we
but
won't let that happen.
But as we stand here now, I see that a lot of women have come together, but the CRPF are also blocking you, right?
They are blocking us because they say that there will be a convoy coming. And in this convoy, they are going to escort these folks people. And I told the officials that we are going to stop the convoy and check whether what kind of passengers are there inside the convoy, but they are not allowing us that to happen again. So we won't be allowing that to go through again.
But then there are a lot of armed men here. They can attack you all as well. I mean, there are a lot of of personnel here, right? People can get hurt.
We have to die for our land.
No, but then see, your leaders are also with the BJP, right? The
Yes.
Kuki MLAs are also with BJP, and the direction has come from the Home Minister that there should be free movement. So, like till now, I mean, if you were to say that you're not going to allow free movement, that means you're also going against
See, we are not against any political parties. We are not against any government. We are not against as central government or any political parties. We are completely against the people, Manipuri people who kill us, as I have told you, who rape us, who mutilated us, who hang us, who has burnt our house, who has burned our people
Sure, ma'am,
alive.
I understand. You're saying that you want some kind of prosecution of the crimes that have been committed, but since this is a highway and
Yeah,
since
this is a national highway. This is an Asian highway. We know, but we are not causing any inconveniences to the commuters right from the beginning of the ethnic cleansing in Manipur. But today we are not. We heard that folks are entertaining their people to go through the national highway to passing Kuki land. That is what we are not allowing.
okay, let's see what happens.
Of course, we want peace, but the peace that we want is justice. Okay, separate administration plus union territory. That will be peace for us. That none other than we cannot accept any other peace like what they have been making is an animated peace, which we strongly condemn this peace.
By this point, everybody just seemed so angry. Some of them pulled me aside and showed me provocative Facebook statuses that seemed to be posted from accounts which they said belonged to the Arambai Tengol. A rumor seemed to be spreading among the crowd that Arambai Tengol members are going to come along with the Fox convoy. But the security personnel there told me that nothing of that sort is going to happen. Open quotes, the only convoy that will pass will be the one with the MST bus, and this convoy will make its way to Senapati. Close quotes. An hour went by, and when I saw no sign of the Fox convoy, I dialed the press coordinator of Fox. This is what he told me. Open quotes. We weren't allowed to proceed beyond Sekmai. We are really disappointed, but we had to turn around and go back to Imphal. Close quotes. I later found out that the Fox group were given the option of getting onto the MST bus since it had a security cover attached to it. The security personnel had told them that this is the only way they could guarantee the safety of the Fox members. But they had refused. The news that Fox was stopped didn't make it to Gamgiphai though. Half expecting Fox and half expecting nothing in particular, the women were just walking around, flashing the national flag from time to time, engaging in conversation with the security personnel from time to time, when I suddenly saw a convoy pulling up. In a matter of seconds, the convoy came under attack as the mob turned frantic. Announcements were being made to try and stop the convoy. I could see the women throw whatever they could at the MST bus and the CAPF Caspers. Almost immediately, the security personnel started belting out tear gas shells one after the other. They tried to lathi charge the woman away from the highway, but the women kept making their way back. In minutes, though, the convoy made its way out of the mob and onwards onto Kanpopi. Screaming at the security personnel, the mob kept regrouping over and over again, fighting away tear gas shells and the blows from the lathis. At multiple points, I thought I was going to go blind with the sting of the tear gas, but very quickly, the woman brought out water in buckets and wet rags. Whenever a tear gas shell would land anywhere close to them, either they would kick it away or pour water on it. The mob kept trying to reason with the security personnel through what seemed like emotional screaming and shouting. From time to time, what they kept doing though is sing the national anthem, confusing the security personnel immediately as even they would have to stand in attention till the anthem would end. The sloganeering just didn't stop, and after some time, the security forces also got tired of it. They started easing up, but the mob stayed in the middle of the highway, only making way for the vehicles of the security forces. I was documenting this for close to 2 hours when I got a message that the convoy had been stopped at Ketilmanbi. A vehicle had been set on fire. The convoy was under attack. Just as I decided to move from Gamgipai to Ketilmanbi to see what was happening there, I saw CAPF and Manipur police argue with the women leaders. They were being told that if they didn't clear the highway, they would be lathi charged again. Just before I left, I caught hold of Kim Ne-jo, a Kuki-Zo woman leader from Haipi, for a small interview. Why are people like, I've been here from 10. There's one bus of the MRCST which has gone past, but since they've all been here, so I mean, how long are they going to be here? Can you tell me what it is the strategy of people of Kangpopi?
It's hard to form any strategy because we are only reacting to how things are happening, right? So, according to the Home Minister, he said there'll be free movement from the 8th onwards.
From today.
So they're testing the people. I feel like they're just testing everyone. See, if they had addressed, like I said before, if they had addressed at least one issue, there's so many displaced people, so many houses burned, so many people killed. Have they addressed any of these? By opening the road, what are they trying to do? Provoke people into more agitations. So this is, we can't allow free movement now. How can we even allow free movement now? And where are these people going anyway? Can we go down to Imphal? All the Kuki-Zo people, can any one of us access Imphal? There's no way that we can access Imphal. So what business do these people have coming up to the hills?
Also, this is Women's Day.
Yeah, and this is International Women's Day, for goodness sake. And look at us here, being, tear gas fired upon us now. What is there to celebrate as women? Just, I can't, nothing makes sense today. And it is the women again on the road protesting against the opening of the highway.
I left the mob behind and moved towards Ketilmanbi along with a few other local journalists at 12:30 p.m. Along the way, I saw that multiple blockades had come up by now. Lots of men were brandishing sticks and rods, looking into vehicles and just looking like they were, there to participate in what had become a full-blown chaos. As we got closer to Ketilmanbi, we saw smoke from the distance. A vehicle had been set on fire, and we could also hear gunshots. CRPF men were blocking the highway now, and they were not allowing civilians to move forward. We got off our car and walked through the cordon, and as we approached the burning vehicle, we realized that actually it wasn't the MST bus. The MST bus was actually behind the burning vehicle, and there were two other minibuses right in front of the MST bus. One of the CAPF personnel who was standing alongside the buses said, open quotes, "The convoy was first stopped at Modbung, but we were able to pass that blockade. We thought we'll get past the rest of it, but when we reached Ketilmanbi, we were ambushed. People got onto those tall buildings that you see there, and they started throwing stones at us, like these big, big rocks. Look at the size of that rock. Some of our vehicles even have these deep dents in them. Then, as they were doing this, on the other side, they set this minibus on fire. The mob was just too big for us to break through. Even before we could react, all these people had started pelting stones at us and at the buses. See, you can see all the glass pieces on the ground. This is not just the windshields or the windows of the buses. Those are anyway cracked, but these are also alcohol bottles that people threw at us. Actually, you know what? Don't go ahead because they're also throwing stones and using catapults. You will definitely get hurt." So let's go. Close quote. He was right. I did see glass all over, including what looked like bottles that had been thrown from different directions. A lot of stone pelting also seemed to have happened because the road was full of rocks and stones and whatnot. And so were many empty bullet cases. When we tried taking pictures of them, the police noticed. They came and they took the cases away. As we moved forward, we were told that the minibus that was burning in front of us was actually being used by the BSF. From where we were standing, we could see that tear gas shells were being lobbed at the streets on the right and the left. As we got closer, we saw the personnel run into the streets as well. We were standing and watching this happen when this girl came running out of one of the streets and she was like in tears. She told one of the policemen that her phone was snatched away by one of the security personnel. As she was crying, she kept asking this guy if she can get her phone back. The police guys seemed very angry though. They were like, why were the women throwing stones at us? Why were all of you throwing stones at us? They kept asking this to the girl, and they were also asking her if the mobs back off, then none of the locals would have any problem. So they kept asking her, why are you all doing this? Why are you all doing this? Suddenly, when we looked back, the MST bus was gone. Somebody from the mob had, out of nowhere, without even people noticing, gotten onto the bus and driven it into the village. So, what happened in the next couple of hours is this whole thing was repeating. The security personnel, they would keep shooting tear gas shells in different directions. I also saw them enter the streets of Ketalmanvi on foot, trying to like scare the mob away. Basically, like either shooting a tear gas shell or like opening blank fire or like just abusing them, telling them to not come out onto the highway. But I also saw these men vandalize properties right in front of us. We saw them enter multiple houses and like break whatever they could, like windows, and shatter this windshield of a car. Right in front of us, they also set a scooter on fire and pushed it into a ditch. But as they were doing this, the mob was also growing rowdier. By the minute, their attitude was becoming more and more aggressive, and they kept taunting the police with all kinds of words. And the security forces, they were also responding with abusives and expletives. Now and then, senior officers, be it CRPF commander or another commander or the SP, they would walk into the scene with their teams and they would just fire their guns, like as if they're warning. But I also saw some of them like cocking their guns and firing towards the streets. From where we were standing, we couldn't see whether there were people on the streets or not, but we saw them do that. The boys would also be hiding in different corners and they would continue to taunt. And some of these officers, we saw them just cock their guns, saying that either you shut up or I'll shoot at you. Like, telling the boys to back off or like face the consequences. The security guys, they would also take breaks. And whenever they would take a break, the mob would slowly come out of the streets, regroup, and once again place the rocks and the stones and the boulders, all of that on the road, once again creating a blockade. And then in minutes, they would be chased away again. So this just kept repeating over and over again, even though there were some boys in the mob who were shot. We were also getting messages that there are 3 of them who are critically injured because of a gunshot. Though we couldn't enter the streets to personally check at that point, we were getting these messages and we were getting calls from other parts of Kangpopi saying that this is happening in Ketalmanvi on this street. So this just kept happening over and over again until this one point when the news of this 19-year-old boy being shot dead that actually shocked everybody into like backing off, or what seemed like backing off. Lalgao Thang Singsit was also part of the mob, was shot dead when the security personnel fired at the mob. They followed this up with vandalism along the streets in Sharon Weng, where they tried to scare away the mob using gunfire, while also breaking whatever they could lay their hands on. After this news came in, I did see that the mob started thinning and the security personnel also started moving out of there. The KPI administration immediately announced a curfew across the highway, while Kuki-Zo leaders announced an indefinite shutdown in the district. The highway now remains fully blocked as we speak, with the leaders refusing to even claim the body of Lal Gauthang. More than 50 people suffered injuries, and this number includes women and security personnel. A police official told me that March 8th wasn't supposed to end the way that it did. He said, and I quote, open quotes, Kuki-Zo leaders had agreed to let the bus pass. We brought the bus into Kangpopi with their consent and having informed them, just like it happened in Churchandpur. The bus entered Churchandpur and returned without being attacked. But why was it attacked here? Don't you think people are being misled and instigated? Close quotes. I'm sure what happened on March 8th will be investigated in the days to come, but after having heard the women leaders and security officers, what I've understood is that there seems to have been either a miscommunication or an intelligence failure. But the question that I would like to pose is, if it had become evident to the administration that the mob was not going to let the convoy pass, why was it impossible to back off and make the decision to send the empty bus back to Imphal? It was clear to me at 9 a.m. that people at Gamgiphai were panicking, rumor mongering about the Arambai and this Meitei and that Meitei and the fox entering with Meitei was all over the place. And I saw some people even alleging that the Arambai had in fact entered KPI in the bulletproof vehicles that accompanied the MST bus. This is what I was hearing from the mob. So from then up until 4 p.m., the only attempt seemed to have been to push the convoy through the mob. Leaders of the community were missing from the scene at Ketilmanbi, and nobody was really engaging with the mob and getting them to stand down. It seemed like they were on their own, just regrouping over and over and over again. In the middle of all this, I also did not see an active attempt from the administration to quickly de-escalate the situation till Lal Gauthang was shot dead. This takes us back to the question that Kimne Jo had posed when I spoke to her, which is the optics of taking an empty bus through a district that is already on the edge more important than reassuring its people? To end this episode, I want to revisit an interview that I did one day before all of this happened. I spoke to Naisi Misao, a senior Kuki-Zo leader from Kangpopi, about the uneasiness that had swept through the district as the announcement of free movement came through. Her response to one of my questions is critical. Let me leave you with her answer. What we've seen in the past couple of days is we've seen from the Meitei side an organization saying that we are going to take out a peace expedition into the hills. We've seen an organization on the hillside saying that if anybody comes, they'll have to face the consequences. Stagnant, right? Do you feel that this is going to put people at risk?
The people are always at risk because the system has failed, The system has to be corrected first. Who is responsible for the system? It's the government of the day. So it's for the government to fix the system first. That's what I think that's the crux of the matter. The people are at war, so they are going to talk this way. Both the parties are going to talk unless the system is fixed first and a trust is built between the communities. Now, if somebody decides to just say this is a peace mission and they just walk in Meitei, just come towards the Kuki areas, Kuki are not going to accept peace right there. Peace cannot be enforced, cannot be forced upon. So situation needs to be created first.
It has to be an organic process.
Yes. Start from the grassroots level why the people are still so much hatred, so much enmity is there. The reason is loud and clear. Fix those problems first, Everybody loves peace. But how to bring about peace is I think the only way is, fix the system first.
Right.
The government has every power to do that. The governor has every power to do that. If he is sincere about it, he knows what is needed. By just brute force, by security and CRPF and army personnel, even if they keep sending another 50 battalion, 60 battalion, it's not going to solve the problem. Yeah, it will. The violence will decrease. The violence may be stopped, but peace has to come from the communities. For the communities when one sees some kind of justice in the form of the governance.